Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming to Beyond Expo 2021. This is the Malaysia talk track, and I'm Stephanie Ping, co-founder of WORQ co-working space. We are a company that is a real estate innovation as well as a community company with a mission to make people prosper by working together. And we are close partners with a lot of the speakers here today, where we work with them to ensure that we build a wonderful tech and innovation and business ecosystem in Malaysia for people to tap in and tap out for building wonderful companies that they can scale out from Malaysia and beyond. And I would just like to introduce you to four of the wonderful folks we have here today. Sewell, Chief Technology Strategy Officer at Maxis. Joseph Lee, Managing Partner of Kairos Capital. Yeoh Chow, co-founder of FAVE, as well as Gopi, Ganesalingam, VP of Tech Ecosystems and Globalisation at MDEC. Today, we want to hear from them with some of the pressing questions that we are facing. But before we start, I would really like to introduce them and have them tell us a little bit about what they have done to help the ecosystem here, what they have done to empower their own company as well as their own team to continue this making of the not just tech, but the business environment that is very vibrant in Malaysia. And we just want them to share with us a little bit of tips and tricks that they know so that we learn more to help ourselves. The first person that I'd like to introduce is Sewell. Rob leads the Technology Strategy Division at Maxis, which drives key strategic initiatives for Maxis. He champions the innovation over there, and he guides Maxis' network of evolution to sustain and extend their leadership in technology, to reduce costs and introduce efficiencies, as well as to give unmatched customer experience to their market. So Rob, maybe you want to talk a little bit about what you've done in your job over there at Maxis?
Sure, thanks, Steph. Maxis is Malaysia's leading converged communication service provider. And converged means that we're fixed, we're mobile, we're all the services and applications that sit on top of that. And we look at our purpose as always being ahead and helping Malaysians always be ahead. Within the company, my job and my team's job is to make sure that in terms of technology and how to use it, Maxis is always ahead, and hence, as a result, our customers are always ahead. It's been an amazing 18 months of change for us in that regard. All of our vision for how we would go digital internally and how our channel would go digital has had to accelerate a huge amount. So we've actually gone through the same experience ourselves as we've supported a lot of our customers through in terms of taking their channel, their marketing, their way of interacting with customers vastly more digital. Internally, it's an innovation thing. We have an internal, a key value about what's possible. Never just accepting the drift and saying this is what's normal, but instead asking what's possible. And that means all the things about accepting failure of ideas, provided we reach that conclusion quickly, continuously exploring ideas, continuously looking for new partnerships. All of that's the culture that we drive to enable us to always be ahead.
Okay, great. There's a lot of the things that we share as well at WORQ, and I know MDEC and FAVE as well as Cairos shares all these thoughts, and we're very happy to have you here with us, Rob. Let's move on to Joseph. Joseph sets up Kairos Capital with a vision to become the region's leading PE and VC firm in cross-border investments. His cross-border experience further expanded into the tech space, mainly fintech, insurtech, e-commerce, digital health, as well as a investment into TechNote, right? Which is the good folks behind this expo. And basically, he's probably one of the reasons why we have this event here today through his investment. So Joseph, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your fund?
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here Beyond Expo. Stephanie, you have basically introduced quite a fair bit already. So maybe I'll just talk a little bit more about the strategies because we cover the region, China as well as Southeast Asia. So currently 60% of our portfolio is actually in China and 40% in Southeast Asia. Our strategy is very much trying to arbitrage the technological difference between China and Southeast Asia. So we actually serve as our Chinese investees cross-border partners, helping them apart from in China also venturing out to outside China, particularly to Southeast Asia, and also for our Southeast Asia investees, we are also trying to be their cross-border partners. So if they are ready to go out from their home turf, their own countries, so we will be there to assist them to actually venture into other part of Southeast Asia, and we invest in Series A to B sectors. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we like to hear this, right? Like China being a big economy, if countries can leverage what they know to go to other countries, is really something that would help them a lot. Okay, great. Let's move on to Chen Chow. He's the co-founder of FAVE, which is a fintech loyalty program in Southeast Asia. FAVE helps to digitize tens of thousands of local businesses, from restaurants, cafes, retailers, spas, beauty and wellness studios. And basically, they've had a lot of successes. The latest one being acquired by a wonderful platform in India. So Chen Chow, can you take it away?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stephanie, for the intro, and I think thanks a lot, TechNote, for the invite as well for this Beyond Expo. Honored to be here for this session. So I think for FAVE, I think Stephanie did intro quite a bit on that already. I think so for FAVE, we sort of building on from the loyalty payments, and then besides deals, give e-cards, and then recently we extended to online, FAVE Pay Online, as well as FAVE Pay Later, which is our version of Buy Now Pay Later, which currently 40,000 retailers in Southeast Asia are able to enable their customers to have a free 3 installment for every payment, right? So I think that's sort of where we do, I think where we democratize the transactions across for the retailers, and basically enabling the consumers to get a CD rewards values for that. Yeah, and I think as what Stephanie mentioned, recently in April, we got acquired by Panelists. So now a part of their family and working together towards, I think Panelists just recently announced their IPO. So I think that hopefully we'll be able to get through that and we'll be part of that journey together.
Okay, wonderful and exciting news there for FAVE. Lastly, we go to Gopi. And Gopi is no stranger to all of us. He's the VP of Tech Ecosystem and Globalisation at MDEC, which is the government agency tasked with developing Malaysia's digital economy. And Gopi is at the forefront of championing talented entrepreneurs by enabling them to actualize their business vision and passion about delivering Malaysia's nascent digital economy towards sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development. Gopi, can you tell us a bit about what you do and what you plan to do?
Sure. Thank you, Steph, and thank you to Beyond Expo 2021 for having MDEC on the panel session today. So MDEC, what does MDEC do? Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation is 25 years old this month. And we started off 25 years ago very much as an ICT ecosystem builder. But over the last 20 years, that has changed. The landscape has changed. And today we are talking about the digital economy. So MDEC changed our name. We changed our name to Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation some 3 years ago. And hence our stakeholders are all changing. They're becoming very digital. And so if you look at MDEC, we are working with the industry, not just in Malaysia, but globally. And if you can think of MDEC as Nadi. Nadi in Bahasa means pulse. Nadi is new talents that is under our digital skills and talents. Adoption, because if you don't adopt digital technology, it's not going to take off. It's like having a nice car, but you're not driving it. And it's about disruptors. D, that's where I come, the team that I work with, tech ecosystem and globalization. We are working with the disruptors, which involves ecosystem, which involves companies like Cairos, which involves companies like FAVE, which involves companies like Maxis, and of course, WORQ. These are all part of the ecosystem that we are engaging with to build our ecosystem to be stronger and globally competitive. I've got good news. Last year, Startup Genome, which is a ecosystem benchmark consulting company, ranked over 140 upcoming emerging ecosystems in the world. And KL, Kuala Lumpur, was ranked number 11. So we've done well, but we have still got a lot of work to do. And that's what we're doing. We're championing that ecosystem build out. I is for investments. All through the years, for the last 25 years, we've been very successful bringing in ICT involved investments. That will continue. But today, the companies have all changed because the Zooms of the world, right? So these are all digital companies. And we are looking at how can Malaysia, how can MDEC bring these digital investments into the market, into Malaysia. So that's the I. So NADI, NADI is our mantra.
Okay, great. Nadi, it's very closely related to heart, right? Being the pulse, Gopi, and I think MDEC is the heart of a lot of the ecosystem in Malaysia, and we have all dealt with you. And I can say from my own experience, even though it's a government agency, I think it acts a lot like a private sector company, and it's very fast. It's does a lot of things very quickly, and it's extremely bringing a lot of value. So a great job over there, Gopi.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So I have some questions because the topic for today is how does innovation empower Malaysian businesses to boost the economy? And I know a lot of you here have your thoughts about that because you've actually used innovation to empower yourselves as well as other people. So I just want to get to the crux of the problem that we are facing today, which is COVID. And everybody knows it's all around us, literally. So I would like to ask you guys, Malaysian businesses are still extremely affected by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. How does digitization and innovation help these businesses, especially the small ones, the SMEs, to survive during these difficult times? Can we get a point of view from Rob from Maxis?
Sure. I guess I'd have to start by saying digitization really has been the backbone for any company's ability to cope during these COVID circumstances. Everything has changed about the way we work, live, and play, and that's true for every business. And I guess in many ways, even more true for small and medium enterprise businesses. Changing how we work internally has been critical for all businesses, allowing ourselves to work from home, allowing all of our subcontractors to work from home. Maxis has put a lot of effort, for instance, into making sure that contact center staff can still serve our customers very effectively, but can do that from home in a safer and more appropriate way. For small enterprises, it isn't so much internal, although the communication is critical. A lot of it is about coordinating with their suppliers and coordinating with their customers. And we've seen huge change, and we've helped customers through a lot of change. E-commerce obviously has been a big part of it, and that's been a huge growth and has enabled many businesses to continue successfully where otherwise they probably couldn't have. Also, just new ways of doing marketing. In the early days of the pandemic, we spent a lot of time supporting our dealers in figuring out how to take their marketing and their connection with customers into the digital channels. But outside, I've seen some great examples as well. Probably my very favorite is watching small fishing companies in Malaysia start to actually auction fish online on Facebook Live, where viewers actually watch the live stream of the seller and the fish and are able to contact the seller to get the fish thereafter. So taking a very traditional business model and taking it completely digital so that it can continue. We actually got a lot of inspiration through a program we called Kita Support Kita, where we actually had business leaders creating and sharing their own stories about constructive tips and hacks on how to stay in business. So obviously Maxis has had our ideas, but small and medium enterprises sharing their own ideas was very powerful. And we put a lot of that up on our website so that other businesses could be inspired. One of my favorite examples is Kuving's premium kitchen appliance company. They really couldn't continue their traditional retail operations, which left all of their promoters in Malaysia, with nowhere to go, until they said, hey, take all of your demo units home, create engaging videos at home, post on social media. Here's a unique discount code that applies to you so that we can track online business to you as a promoter, and hence we can continue that business model. So just one of many examples, but it's a very successful one. We also run programs like our Spark Engage program about bringing in our best practices and sharing them out with thousands of SMEs across Malaysia on digitization. We recently actually showed that even feng shui can be taken into a digital business model with consultant and coach Dato Joey Yap, who actually became one of the first feng shui consultants in Malaysia to pivot to a virtual format last year. So proving that almost any business can be taken into that digital forum very successfully. And we've got a range of products, and particularly a digital readiness index product, which we use with SMEs to help them do a self-assessment very quickly and figure out where they can most benefit. And then if they want to work with us, our coaches can actually help them turn those areas where they can most benefit into the right solution. And you know, talking to Gopi, hook them up with MDEC and the grants that are available to SMEs to support their digitalization.
Great. Looks like there's a lot of collaboration going on there. You know, that's,
yes, there is. Yeah.
That's great. And, you know, like we at WORQ really like to see that, because, you know, when people collaborate, they prosper by, you know, working together. So good job there, Rob.
If there's one thing digital business and internet business has taught it, it's that ecosystems and collaboration are where it's at, and that's how we tackle it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Like I always say, you know, community is the new tech. It's something about human. It's very human. It's very, you know, soft, but at the same time, it's very powerful, and it can, you know, build entire civilizations. So it's very important that we build communities that can collaborate, and from there, you know, just make more and more prosperous living for everyone. I am eager to hear from Gopi about this specific topic right here. Gopi, we work a lot on collaboration and trying to build this ecosystem through people working together. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how we can use digitization to help these companies?
Sure. So when your question, I don't know where to start, because this is a major question, right? For a long time, even before COVID happened, MDEC took on the role of trying to tell the SMEs that digitalization is the way to go. The platforms are the way to go. Things are changing. But it had to take COVID-19 to be the chief transformation officer, chief digital officer, to ensure that this happened. And so just like many other countries, 90% of Malaysia's GDP comes from the SME. And they were the most affected when the COVID hit, because they were the least prepared. Companies like FAVE, companies like Maxis, companies like WORQ, like yourself, they moved on because they were already digital. They were born digital, they were already digital. But 90% of the SMEs were not. And so MDEC came up with a few of these programs. One is called MDEC's 100 Go Digital initiative, which doesn't mean 100 companies going digital. But how do you take SMEs and then go through this digital journey to ensure that they are 100% digital? So we came up with 100 Go Digital, which is essentially talking to the SMEs, going through a digital journey, identifying their digital presence, putting it on websites, talking to them about e-commerce and how they could then plug into e-commerce websites. It's about operations going digital. It's about the back-end processes going digital, and the kind of emerging tech that's there. So our outcomes are good. We have seen a lot of awareness on the SME side. We have seen the new business revenues coming in. We have seen SMEs pivot. So you need to be resilient. So all that happened, and our assistance actually has helped facilitate more than $140 million in terms of even fundraising, Series A and above. So it is those kind of initiatives that we put in place to save the SMEs from going bust. The government's Penjana Economic Stimulus Program, which also I think benefited more than 210,000 MSMEs in e-commerce, and it catalyzed about 1.8 billion ringgit worth of sales. So these are some of the things that we put in place very, very quickly, all working from home, mind you, and putting all these initiatives out there. So in 2021, we are looking forward to engaging more than 300,000 businesses on their journey for digital adoption. We have also introduced the Belanjawan 2021, which is the Go e-commerce onboarding and Shop Malaysia Online, where we are allocating 200 million ringgit aimed at providing support to the Malaysian businesses from the various sectors to onboard them onto the e-commerce and e-payment platforms. So, and another further 100 million has also been allocated to assist local businesses to onboard onto the e-commerce platforms via the Go e-commerce campaign. So these are some of the things that we have put in place to ensure that our SMEs and our ESMEs are not left behind. Two more that I think is important is the e-Rezeki program, which has been going on for a few years, this is about enabling citizens, the Makcik Kias, enabling low-income groups to generate additional income by doing digital assignments. via online crowdsourcing platform. So we have seen 400,000 registrations and more than 340,000 participants earning income now. So over the years, I think it's about 2.5, 3 years, generated more than 1.1 billion worth of income to date, right? The other one, last of my points here for this question, and it's a very important point, is a GLOW. GLOW it's important to note that, you know, with platforms like Grab, everyone's looking at becoming a gig economy worker. And that is the way of the future, we think. And so GLOW is a national program designed to enable Malaysians to be part of this online global workforce and to be able to earn independently. We have seen 85,000 participants trained and more than 54,000 are now earning incomes, generating more than 232 million. So these were quick programs that we put in place to save the SMEs from going down.
Okay, great. We like to hear that because, you know, the SME makes up a huge part of the economy. And we want them to keep on going, and they're on the ground every day, making sure that, you know, they do everything that they can. I'd just like to ask the question here: are they digitizing fast enough? Do you guys feel that they are? And is there any more that we can do for them, or is there any more that they can do? Maybe, sorry, go on, Gopi, you want to take that one?
Can I take that question? I think it's never fast enough. I think we all can do things faster. And one of the reasons it's not fast enough is the need to upskill and reskill our talent. So again, MDEC has come up. We have a talent division you know, for 3 major programs just to address the problem. Can we do it faster? We have a digital skills training directory. That means we're enabling digital training. We have got different sets of training that you can come in and look and select. We've got the My Digital Workforce intact, which is incentivizes employers to hire unemployed Malaysians via the digital reskilling or upskilling initiative. And lastly, again, on the jobs platform, it's about the digital job aggregator platform called My Digital Workforce. So that is something that we're looking at to enable all these gig workers to come on board our platform.
Okay, great. I mean, what I'm hearing is that we need to empower these people, you know, to help themselves. And I think, you know, that is something that we really feel strongly also at work, whereby if they can help each other out through the community that they're in, then they can really, you know, even the smallest questions, they can help each other out. That's really powerful. They crowdsource each other. And in that community, they just kind of like, you know, upskill themselves more, like what you say, Gopi, and then just really go through the pandemic by leveraging off each other, as well as the help that, you know, you guys are giving. Anybody have any other opinion as to, you know, how else, you know, we can jumpstart this? You know, Joseph, do you have a viewpoint on that?
Yeah, maybe I can add a little bit. I think initially when the pandemic hit, the digitalization is very much to make sure survival, right? So the other SME, because you cannot go to the office, you know, then you need to make use of all those tools available in the market in order to carry on your business, to keep your operation on. But you know, I always think that as a VC, I think that there's actually much more room for improvements, especially the SME really needs to embrace technology going forward. So this pandemic is very good to actually serve as a push, you know. So you must actually think beyond that, you know, beyond your traditional boundaries. So like, for example, in Malaysia, we have a lot of SME that's in the manufacturing sectors. So traditionally, they have been, you know, the OEM, they manufactured for someone, and then they are actually very much B2B, right? And then, and then, you know, and everyone knows, I think the fellow panelists mentioned about the e-commerce potential, and it's actually booming over the last 1.5 years. So, you know, here that this sector is booming, and as the manufacturers, you should actually make use of all this, you know, ecosystem there. So I'm not talking about just selling your stuff in the e-commerce platform. I'm talking about, you know, if you find the right partners, you work with the, you know, right vertical e-commerce players, you can actually create your own brand, and sell your own brand at the vertical e-commerce platform. And a lot of our time as a VC also, we actually helping our investors to better embrace technology. So we match the right party to them so that they can actually now they can actually go straight to the consumer instead of doing B2B business. We call it D2C, right? A consumer direct to consumer model, and then you can start to create your own brand and develop your own distribution channel. So it is something that could potentially become even bigger than their existing business, prior to COVID. Yeah.
Joseph, I think you took the words right out of my mouth. Partnership, I feel it's a very powerful way to do business. A lot of times you don't have to build things on your own and you can just partner, right? And that's why we always talk about community, which is that why do it all over again when someone's already done it, right? And we've got companies like Facebook actually investing. They have, I think, a fund to give grants to community companies to encourage this. I know the US government is putting a lot of money into trying to encourage this kind of partnership, as well as on the ground community building. It's a huge agenda in Washington, DC. So I think you really embody that. And I love to see when VCs and PEs talk about things like that, right? Working together, making sure that people prosper by working together. For that, yeah.
Can I jump in? It's a very important point. Yeah. I want to say this because I want to encourage the SMEs. We're actually in a very lucky place, Malaysia, because one, the government is coming behind us to say, look, here all these grants, go digital. Plus, we are also even more lucky that we're sitting right in ASEAN. ASEAN is the fastest growing internet economy in the world. MDEC has a tagline now, Malaysia, heart of digital ASEAN. We are so well connected in ASEAN. We are home to 5 airlines. We've got so many trips into ASEAN. It's not easy to do businesses in ASEAN because we've got different regulatory frameworks and stuff. But we have got enough success stories. So ASEAN is a $300 billion potential. And if our SMEs can realize going onto digital platforms democratizes the globe, here you go. Huge potential coming to you.
I think we see a lot of excitement going on, especially with this panel. Talking about ASEAN, I would like to, shine some light over there on cross-border transactions, as well as, learning from our neighbors, so to speak, right? The world is getting smaller. Everybody's our neighbor. How can we partner with everybody if possible? And for me, I always feel like, hey, don't need to be the smartest as long as we can work with people, and then we can achieve a lot of things, right? So the world is not just an oyster for, extremely, people only go to, Ivy League schools or whatever. Everybody can be successful just by learning from each other. So can I just ask Joseph, how can we learn from, other countries? And what are the hottest tech trends that we've seen elsewhere that should be brought to Malaysia, or maybe anything new that's coming out from Malaysian businesses that we can, contribute to other countries?
Okay, obviously, we look at China, also we look at Southeast Asia. There are a lot of very high-end technology stuff, deep tech stuff in China, AI, blockchain, in industrial relation 4.0 and 5G stuff. So, but let me probably quote 2 examples that is probably closer to us. Like, for example, I think one is the e-commerce. Maybe I'm just going to mention a little more. So far in Southeast Asia, we only look at the mainly the platform play. So the social commerce side is still quite early. You will have some micro seller actually trying to sell at the Facebook side, but we don't see a very scalable type of social commerce type of platform being developed right now. Maybe still small. I think we do see here there a little bit. Like, for example, I think a model like Pinduoduo in China, Xiaohongshu, and all the Shein type of direct to consumer type, from consumer to manufacturer type of model. We hardly actually see it here. So I think there's actually a lot of opportunity here, even at the e-commerce space, which is just by selling stuff, right? The innovation is very much from the business model part than the technology part, right? And for example, I think you know, ByteDance, TikTok in China, ByteDance already started using the short video platform to sell things, and I think eventually it's going to come to this part of the world. So I think e-commerce itself, you know, does have a lot of potential, and you know, as things get saturated, you know, in the platform perspective, then there will be a lot of different vertical that will create opportunities. The other part that we see, also based on our experience, is the healthcare space. During the pandemic, one of the investees in China, they actually started to have a lot of reverse inquiry because they actually sell software to, they provide software to the hospital to allow hospital remotely service their patients. So, obviously, I think during the pandemic period, the government stopped all the hospitals in China from the normal follow-up procedures. So it's all COVID patients. So, but obviously hospitals also need to survive. So therefore they make use of all these remote access. So basically for doctors to do follow-up with their existing patients, and they through the online, you prescribe medicine, and ultimately you don't have to step out from your house, the medicine will deliver to your house. So some of this kind of example, I think eventually it will come to this part of the world to provide, using technology to provide a better healthcare services. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm hearing telehealth going on in China. You know, I've also heard that it's a big thing in Singapore. Great. I think, Chen Chow, you have actually, you know, expanded to many countries. So I feel like you've seen, you know, what's going on out there, and, you know, can tell us a little bit about, you know, what we should bring back to Malaysia or what we can export from Malaysia.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stephanie. Yeah, so I think the one thing on that is, I think Malaysia, where we are at, is I think you see a lot of the regional startups, actually, especially Southeast Asia startups, actually based in Malaysia. I think operationally, I think we have a talent that's multilingual. Let's say we're dealing with Indonesia, we can basically speak in Bahasa. We deal even in Hong Kong, Taiwan, China. We actually have local language speakers. So I think good is that we have a multi-cross, and our cost of salary is actually relatively lower compared to Singapore, even Indonesia in many extents. So I think that's definitely one advantage. And I think our market in a mid-size kind of thing, and also because we have an urban and rural, enable us to connect to across whatever that works in Penang, KL, could work across the various capitals, and whatever that works in a rural area, there's a lot of those rural areas that go through. And I think as we go beyond, let's say take it in Indonesia or India, right? Like as we now taking FAVE, the product, into India, I think the thing of it is a different dynamics of thinking, right? Because now here we're talking about, okay, 1 million user, 3 million, 5 million, that's good, right? And when we go to those market, people talk about 100 million, 500 million, 200 million, right? Those kind of skills. And I think a lot of it is going on there and thinking what is possible and scaling that, because the total addressable market is just way bigger, right? So I think it's a pretty interesting way to stretch. And I think a lot of it is leveraging, partnering. So let's say like for us on our own, we will never be able to go to India and succeed. But now I think with Panelists, we have some chance. We don't know whether we'll be able to eventually succeed, but at least they know the merchants inside out from there. And I think we knew how this ecosystem will work. And I think it's very interesting to see that export of our technology, this technology that FAVE built in Malaysia, is now going to be used by merchants in India. I mean, a lot of time we hear from the other way around, right? But now this is going to be built here and utilized. I say the same thing in FAVE in Singapore, right? So I think today FAVE is one of the top players in Singapore, and that's the technology is built here. So I think a lot of that cross leveraging, and I think that's where the potential can go through.
Okay, great. You know, on the ground information and experience from Chen Chow over there. And congratulations on the you know, exit to Pine Labs, and now being able to go into a big market like India. It's very exciting. And yes, I do think you know, India, China, these are great markets that we can look at. And I just want to ask whether you see any more cross-border investments into Malaysia from these countries, China, India, or anywhere else. Do we see more of these, say, FDIs into Malaysia? Maybe Gopi, you can answer this for me.
Yeah, definitely there is. We saw over 3 billion ringgits worth of FDIs in digital FDIs coming in quite recently. So we do see, but I think the uptake is going to be better as we all recover from the COVID. When I say we all, the global markets recover from COVID. I think Malaysia, and with our tagline now, as heart of digital ASEAN, with the ASEAN market growing, we are already seeing inquiries funneling. We have set up the Digital Investment Office with MIDA, which is a special office that sits once a month to look at these investments and to see how we could help them come into the country. So these are some of the steps that we've taken purely because we are seeing the influx of inquiries coming in to set up their base here in Malaysia. We definitely have good talent. Our cost is a lot cheaper than one or two of our neighbors. We have got, again, I repeat, we have got good connectivity into the region. So obviously we are a first choice in terms of for companies to come and look here at our ecosystem and infrastructure. I would say it's looking very promising for 2022. 2021 is a year we are going through the pipe. As any sales lead, we have lead time in negotiating and bring these companies in. But 2022 is going to be a year that we will see some big names coming in.
Okay, great. So with all these gains coming in, I want to ask Rob, how can companies, especially Malaysian companies, innovate in order to bring value to themselves and then to the market that they serve? I know you innovate every day in your job. Can you give us some advice over there?
Sure. I guess going back to your earlier question, you talked about what are the hottest trends. And from a technology point of view, I love to talk about the hottest trends, analytics, bringing Internet of Everything into your business so that you can then apply the power of analytics, online, offline retail. But the reality is, when I put myself in the shoes of one of our customers, for them, the hottest trend is the one that helps their business, whether it is the latest thing overseas or whether it is just the most applicable. So a lot of the time, innovation is triggered by a deep understanding of your own business, your own situation, at the same time as looking outside for those inspirations. So it's important for innovation that a team or a SME be looking inside and outside at the same time to seek those opportunities. It's important that as an ecosystem, we actually reduce the barriers to them adopting those innovations once they've got the idea. Gopi talked about one barrier earlier, which is the skills barrier, making sure you've got people with the right skills. Another barrier we find is that companies might have an idea for how they want to change, but they assume it's got to be expensive, or they assume it's got to be a big dramatic change. So another way that we try to reduce the barrier to adopting innovation, and you see this in the whole service, anything as a service solution that the world is now moving towards, and Maxis likewise. So solutions that allow you to adopt core capabilities for your business, like card POS or digital marketing, on a pay-per-use or a pay-as-you-go basis, rather than as a big, difficult change for your organization. Ubiquitous connectivity. Malaysia is great in this regard and accelerating further. But again, controlling the costs of adopting that becomes important too. So providing connectivity that might have the dynamic bandwidth that is required by the customer where they only need it some of the time, not all of the time. All of these, as an ecosystem, we need to support companies by driving down those barriers. And then I guess internally, the next step, if those barriers aren't there, is what I think we've seen a huge number of companies doing very successfully in the last 18 months, which is being agile, being willing to transition, and simply giving it a go. This month we'll make this change in our business. Next month we'll make the next change, and we'll learn as we go and continue to therefore innovate. Not all of the innovation that is highly successful has to be the big one massive light bulb moment. Accepting that agile approach is extremely important to really having your business in a very different place in 18 months from where it is today.
Okay, this is like, I feel like there's a lot of wisdom in those words. Don't look at the big stuff only. Make sure you take it step by step. And if if I may say so, you know, agility is seems to be a key in terms of, you know, just making your step as we go along and things like that. And SaaS model and stuff like that is part of it. So looks like that kind of mindset can be used everywhere, you know, and including in my own industry as well. You know, agility is what we preach to our people using space as a service is something that we provide kind of thing. I start to see your mindset, Rob, if we can work together on a lot of the kind of building this, you know, maybe with you, with Gopi, with Joseph, Chen, Chow as well. I think we can really come together to offer something to Malaysians and beyond, right? I want to talk about the difficulties of innovation. You know, it's nice to say that, you know, we should all innovate and all that, but it's also a difficult journey. And there's a lot of things that you have to sort of solve when you're trying to innovate something. What are the challenges of that? And, you know, how can we do it as well as we possibly can to ensure that the journey is a bit smoother? Anybody would like to raise their hands for this, this question?
Maybe I'll kickstart first. Okay, so in my view, innovations actually require good talents, right? And you know, from what we see, the model in more developed tech type of countries like in the US, in China, so it all started with several big organizations, big tech companies. For example, I think in the US, everyone knows about all this Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon. And in China, you started with BAT, Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. Now, the last 5 years, you have ByteDance, you have Meituan, and you have Pinduoduo. So I feel that you know, in Malaysia, there's actually enough of the early stage investors, you know, that investing in the concept stage, in the pre-seed and in the pre-A. And as you go along to Series A, Series B, Series C, Series D, the selection of investors is getting lesser and lesser. I think mainly due to the deal size, So, but I feel that the country actually need more unicorn. Obviously, we have a successful company like FAVE, but we need more of them because first of all, the more unicorn will actually create more talent because as your company grow from 50 million revenue to 100 million to 200 million to 500 million, as you build up the talent pool. The senior management team of this group of people actually has seen through the company evolve from a small size to mid-size, ultimately to a bigger size company. So therefore, I think first is should create more unicorn, and then secondly, should also encourage some of the unicorn to exit, because the moment you exit, you actually see those people actually manage to monetize their effort. And then now they are actually much more gung-ho, and then and this is what we see in China. A lot of them come out and then they do startup. And for VC, these are the group of people that we would very much like to invest because they have experience, they can come out with good track records, and it actually increased the probability of success. So therefore, I think all these things is really to encourage the next generation of entrepreneurs, and it's actually with all these entrepreneurs that you will see innovations. So that is my view.
Okay.
Yes, I got something to add to Joe.
Sure, go on.
May I?
Yes.
So Joe, you hit the nail on the head, but let me elaborate, right? I think innovation and talent is a lot to do with the ecosystem. If we had the current ecosystem 6 years ago, I don't think Grab would have left Malaysia. Today, we have the ecosystem has, like you said, right from that little disruptors, the startups that we have, they are in what we call the Malaysia digital hubs, right? They're all over in the digital hubs. Steph runs one of them, WORQ. They've got 3 outlets. And it's all about creating that talent and up comes those talents. And then, so at MDEC, we have right from that mass producing companies through the hubs, through our hackathons, through our accelerator program, through our mix, which is the corporate innovation program that we are unraveling these gems, right? And we're building capacity. And it is through that capacity that we build, and we build this capacity through market access. This means you go beyond the shores of Malaysia. You cannot build a big company from Malaysia alone. We are too small an economy. So you grow these companies beyond the shores of Malaysia. So we have the market access program under in MDEC. We also have fundraising programs in MDEC. Just between the MCO period of 18 months, we raised for companies more than 80 companies raised more than 100 million US from our intervention. So the ecosystem has evolved a lot. So when you talk about unicorns, so from the smaller ones to the Series A to the B, now we got companies in B, C, and D, and we have announced one more unicorn. Actually, the Startup Genome said very, very bravely that even Grab, which was known as My Taxi, was born out of KL. So it's an ecosystem in KL that gave birth to that. Innovation is coming off from KL, but now we know how to, at least we know how to manage these companies as they grow. And we got Custom coming out. We've probably got another few more unicorns that will come out. Unicorns are important for the ecosystem because they have the spillover effect. Like FAVE doing a fantastic exit, that's very good because the money comes back, they spend more money, they hire more people, they're getting into bigger markets. So these are all very, very important on how we nurture the ecosystem from the start till the end has the exit. So I just wanted to add that excellent point that Joe brought up.
Okay, thanks for that, Gopi. I think we are down to our last few minutes, so I want to ask my very last question, which is to Chen Chow of FAVE. I think this centers around people. I think people is the most important asset that any country, any company can have. And even if they're not your people, if they're in your community, they are your people, right? And I've been to FAVE's office, and you know, WORQ has many co-working spaces. When I went to FAVE's office, I love it, right? So obviously they're treating their people well with a fantastic space, but also the vibe and the culture inside that, you know, which is a very, very young, innovative, raring to go. That's the team at FAVE that I can see, you know, very co-working like, very, just a fun place to work in, as well as, you know, great leadership. So Chen Chow, can you tell us a little bit about how to achieve that with people and how to make them have an innovative mindset?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steph. Yeah, I think in terms of people side, I think a lot of it is putting the people at heart, right? I think it's thinking about the people at each juncture. And I think a lot of time is working through the people, and a lot of times it's even people that have left us. I think a long time they play an important part during the journey and everyone connect back, right? So example, even like on the day that we got acquired, on that night, at the same night itself on Clubhouse, a lot of our employees actually came back together and shared their journey. Some of them today may be working at a lot of all the other players in the market, right? Many of our competitors, but a lot of them actually have their roots, have their first job, came together with that. I think that's one bit. And I think the second bit of it is, I think, continuous learning journey. So I think from time to time, we brought in a lot of different speakers into the company to speak and share, right? So let's say last week, we brought one of the person that will lead the talent team in Gojek to come and share. We brought Cheryl, CMO of Grab, to come in and share. So different people coming in and share to the team. And also a lot is encouraging our own team to share. So a lot of the topic could be really related to work, or sometimes it could be even interpersonal and whatnot. Right? And a lot of time it's bringing topics that's tough. Like one of the topics sometimes is like how to handle tough bosses, right? Tough supervisors, right? And I think balancing that and enabling people to have a conversation. We have even conversation like circle of care where people go there and maybe I'm depressed, I'm stressed and whatnot, and go there and share, right? And so there's more anonymity. People, of course, can still potentially identify your voice and whatnot. So I think it's one bit, and I think the style of this will shift as well with now in the new normal, right? I think, like, let's say our office as well, like post this lockdown, we're going to basically also reform the office where we're not going to have enough seats for everyone, but we're building a lot more meeting rooms. So like when you don't need a meeting, you stay at home. If you need a meeting, then you come to the office to do collaboration work. So I think that's sort of some of the things that we're building. And I think it's a continuous learning journey.
Precisely. I think distributed work style is the way to go to enable people to work the way they want to work. And with the advent of more and more gig economy, I think companies also have to move towards giving their team a way to work that they would reach their highest physical and mental potential, right, at the workplace. So I'm so glad to see someone like Chen Chow, holding that mantle. Already a few years ago, he's already, being very, for empowerment, for flexible, all that kind of stuff. So I love that this talk has ended on that note. So I think that's all the time that we have, but we have heard from all of you guys about your point of view about how can we move forward to the future. It's not always, pandemic days only. I think there's a horizon to come that is very bright, as long as we know how to ensure that things are going well during difficult times, and difficult times will always come. And this is just one of them. And with your wise words, I feel like I've learned something. I feel like, all of you are very caring individuals who embody the spirit of Malaysia, the entrepreneurship thinking. As well as, people that would attract more people to start in Malaysia, which you guys have mentioned, has great cost structure, has great talent, has a wonderful amount of people can speak many languages, and government like MDEC to help talented folks like Chen Chow. And therefore, it's a great balanced place, Malaysia. I think people have a great mindset over here. And if we can just, think about all the blessings that we have, I'm sure we'll all do extremely well. And I'm sure we can bring what we can do as a kind of service to everybody else around us, as well as the rest of the country. And Malaysia has always great heart in us. Malaysians have great heart in us. And I think we will be able to contribute a lot to the rest of the world, such as China and India and so forth. Yeah.
So Stephanie, thank you very much for putting it so well. Thank you very much. And thank you for having us here on the panel.
Most welcome. Yeah. Thanks to everybody here as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And thanks to Beyond Expo as well, right, for putting this on. We hope to see more collaboration between Malaysia and China, as well as the rest of the world.